Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and I am solo tonight. But you know what? We are here to chat a little bit about the Houston Dynamo. We'll go pretty fast. I hope that you guys, start joining me. Leave your comments in the Bayou banter. Anything and everything is welcome that we can talk about related to the Houston Dynamo. But thank you guys for joining me once again. We are here on a beautiful Monday night, and we're going to talk a little soccer. We're kind of upbeat because Houston did win over the weekend against the Portland Timbers 1-0. It was all that was needed to get 3 vital points. With that, Houston is still in the hunt and in long shot, but there is an opportunity of them making it to the playoffs still. They're not out of it. There's really, I would say, 3 places that Houston could get into. However, sneaking into a playing round looks like the most possible, if we're being honest, on just on paper, but they would really need to win out. And a couple very difficult matches coming up. But before I get too far ahead, I will like to invite you guys to follow us on all our social media platforms, basically anything and everything out there. But BayouCitySoccer.net is our main site where we want you guys to go check out. So again, BayouCitySoccer.net. And from there on, you can see all our social media platforms that include Instagram, YouTube, of course, X, Blue Sky, Threads, basically everything that is out there. We are there. So whichever your favorite platform is, you'll probably find us as Bayou City Soccer. Again, a good weekend overall for Houston. Both Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash, and even Houston Dynamo too get a win over the weekend. But let's go ahead and get started a little bit with the Houston Dynamo match. I wanted to play the highlights for you guys. I'm not sure if they'll let me, but let's figure this out together here. Let me see if it'll let me go ahead and present, so you guys can catch the game with me. Maybe not. No. Okay. No worries. We're fine. But yeah, a quick summary. Obviously, it was one game that the Houston Dynamo started out very well. I would say the first 13, 14, 15 minutes, it was all Houston Dynamo. They had a couple opportunities that they couldn't concrete. And then maybe a couple minutes after that, it was Portland's turn to come back and try to find their own goal. But Houston dominated that entire first half all the way to the very end, where a fantastic cross from Jack McGlynn finds Ezequiel Ponce, who honestly probably one of his best headers as a Houston Dynamo player, and just puts it past Portland's keeper, who did try. He reached pretty well to a low header, but wasn't good enough to keep Ponce out of the score sheet. It again precise on the assist by McGlynn. I mean, we know how good McGlynn is. It's probably one of his best matches here against Portland this year. He gets the assist. He has a couple opportunities himself. He took, I believe, 7 shots. And he was defensively pretty well. Yeah, looking at the shots, he took 3 went to target, and out of the 7 that he took, 2 shots were blocked. He had 91 touches on that ball with 5 in the opposition. So Jack put some work. We know how good he's becoming in the attack and finding those spaces up front for the Houston Dynamo as they really need it. However, he can't do it by himself. Some of the other guys are still struggling. But just going into the starting lineup, we knew that, well, Antonio Carlos did pick up an injury last game. That meant the return of Eric Sviatchenko into the lineup. Um, and that, I mean, we know how good Sviatchenko is. I mean, there's really no denying that Eric, apart from being a good soccer player, he has the leadership that this team really needs. And I mean, it was quite noticeable. We know in goal, Jonathan Bond has done a fantastic job since his return. Griffin Dorsey on the right, Sviatchenko, as I mentioned, in the center, partner alongside Pablo Ortiz. Both of them, for the first time in a minute, have been or were able to complete a full game together. So that was actually something new that we hadn't seen in a bit, of the center back pairing making it all the way to the 90th minute. And Felipe Andrade, once again, on the left. He did, we talked about contracts and we'll talk a little bit about it here shortly, but Felipe Andrade did see his contract be, or his exercise for, the option to purchase him picked up by the Houston Dynamo. The quantity wasn't released, but it was mentioned that it didn't necessarily affect a ton of the gap for the future and Tam. So that's seems like a good buy from the Dynamo, and he's been since coming into Houston, playing with Dynamo 2 and eventually becoming a starter for Dynamo, the first team, I think has been a fantastic pickup by the club. And I don't know if credit is given enough. We know that the season as a whole hasn't been a very good one, but I think there are some success that don't really get spoken about, overall, but I think he's one of them. In the midfield, there was no Arthur as he was suspended. So we saw Junior Urso in his place alongside, as already mentioned, Jack McGlynn and Brooklyn Reigns, who this was Brooklyn's last game of the season with the Houston Dynamo, as he was called up to the U20 World Cup. So best of luck to Brooklyn Reigns. We were able to talk to him before the game on Saturday and just get his point of view. I mean, this guy, 20 years old, he's a true professional, very well spoken, and we wish him all the luck in this World Cup. Obviously, the U.S. is not a favorite to win it, but they've done a very good job to have a very talented team, honestly, in that lineup. So, looking forward to following Brooklyn Reigns in this 2025 World Cup, which I believe is being played in Chile. So, it should be a good one for sure. And on top, you had Andre Linger and Nali on both of the flanks, and then Ezequiel Ponce, who ends up being the lone scorer, giving the victory to the Houston Dynamo to get all 3 points at home. Much needed win. Houston, however, towards the end of the game, once again, it just felt that they find it so difficult to hold on to the lead, hold on to a positive result. And I mean, the Portland towards the very end, hit a couple of, I think, posts and crossbars, and Jonathan Bond was put to work. So overall, it was one of those very, a match full of tension for the Dynamo, as we have gotten used to seeing lately. But it's good to see them pull out a result at home, much needed win, as I mentioned. And of course, in the bench, there was no Ben Olsen, as he also was suspended with yellow card accumulation for this match. And for the second time since Ben Olsen's time with the Houston Dynamo, Juan Guerra took over as the interim coach for the first team. And he continues to be undefeated with this team. That's 2 games that you see Juan Guerra step in, 2 games that you see the Houston Dynamo get all 3 points at home. So, yeah, good stuff from Houston Dynamo getting this win. Not necessarily a lot to critique. I think the game was closed out very well. Again, there was some occasions where Portland did have the opportunity to try to get a goal for how quiet they were throughout the entire game, with most of the, well, basically all of the main stats in Houston Dynamo's favor. That includes obviously 55 percent ball possession for the Dynamo, over 45 from Portland. You had 21 total shots from the Dynamo for 7 for Portland, 7 shots on target for Houston, 3 for Portland. So opportunities were definitely better for the Houston Dynamo. They had 3 big chances. Their XG was, make sense of it. It should have been 2 goals for the Dynamo at least, and it just wasn't meant to be. But either way, they escaped with all 3 points. And it sounds funny to say escape with all 3 points when in reality, playing at home, playing at Shea Energy Stadium has not been a forte for the Houston Dynamo this season. But they're still alive, and now they get to play against Nashville, which Nashville is probably one of the best teams this season. And, they're taking the Eastern Conference they were at a good pace. For most of the season, they were sitting right there in 3 and, top 5 team in the East. As of late, they've struggled themselves in the last 5 games. They've lost 3 and won 2. They lost their most recent match against Cincinnati here over the they lost against Orlando over the weekend, 3-2. They beat Philadelphia 3-1, and Cincinnati beat them 2-1. So those are their last 3 matches. But they will not be an easy team whatsoever to beat, especially at home. They're just, they have so many players that can make the Houston Dynamo's night a nightmare. Apart from one of my favorite players for the Dynamo in a minute was Joe Willis, and we know that he comes in clutch for the team in Nashville, whether it be big saves, whether it be penalty saves. Yeah, they're gonna find it difficult to break him. But in reality, the relentless attack from Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar, who have put a bunch of goals. Sam has 21 goals. Hani Mukhtar has 15 goals. I mean, this is a team that you have to be very careful not to give too many space or give too much space, because they will punish you if you let it happen. So it would be interesting. The history between these 2 teams is not a very long one. They've only played each other 4 times since the 2020 season. Houston has 2 wins. Nashville has 1 win, and there is a draw between them. So again, those historically, those numbers aren't necessarily gonna make a massive difference. By the way, yeah, Jay Hurtado checking in. Edson Ochoa, what's up, man? Yeah, leave your comments in here. Just me. I'm gonna try to do a quick episode. We're pretty much done talking about the obviously recapping the last game, finishing here the preview against Nashville. As I mentioned, this game, I don't think it's fine for me to be a positive or see a positive outcome for the Houston Dynamo against Nashville. Again, they're not in the best form, but Houston has struggled. But if they are able to find a way to get points in Nashville, then it will be massive. And they really need it. I think that at this point, with 3 games left for the Houston Dynamo in the regular season, they need to accumulate all the points. Even though they're just a point outside of the playoff contention, which at this point they're if you're looking at places 8 and 9, which Colorado has 39 points and FC Dallas has 37, with a game in hand. Houston really needs to win every single match at add those 9 points, get into a 45 points will get you a little bit more comfortable in one of those seedings. And if you are able to get 3 straight wins, I mean, that just puts you in very good form heading into the postseason. And I think that's really what everybody's kind of looking forward to. I don't think that, just because they make the playoffs, it changes the plan of a lot of the turnover that we'll see. And we'll talk about it here shortly and finish out the contracts talk that we started last week with Cristian Poterias and myself. But I think it's important for the team to figure out that, at the end of the day, it may have taken this long to get, I guess, comfortable with the new amount of players, their starters, and get into the playoffs. Because at the end of that's really what you want, right? I mean, you play for opportunities to win an MLS Cup. And we know that Houston has nothing else to play other than that. And you have to, at this point, leave everything out and get yourself an opportunity. But, and I mentioned being pessimistic, I don't see that happening in Nashville. I'm going to be negative Nancy, and I'm going to say Nashville beats Houston Dynamo. It could definitely get out of hand because Nashville tends to score a lot of goals. Their defense is a little cleaner than the Dynamo. But I'm going to say a 2-1 loss for Houston. It aches me to say that if I put my fan hat, which I'm not wearing it right now. But yeah, it does pain me because I would like this team to always, play postseason matches just to continue that it sucks whenever your team doesn't make it, and of course they went to a big drought. But yeah, Jay, negative. I don't know if it is negative, but I think it's a realistic result. However, we know that Houston loves to play on the road. I think they wear the road warrior uh, brand very well, and I would not be surprised if they close out a game and get all 3 points in Nashville and keep that dream afloat. But the chance of it ending, the chance of Houston losing and basically sealing the season for them, I think it's much higher than we think. But uh, having Eric back, obviously you'll have Arthur back from suspension. You start getting some of those main pieces clicking together, and this is a whole different Houston team. And if they get hot, they will be getting hot at the right moment, of course. So, yeah, I guess I need to remember that I'm predicting a negative score. Hopefully that's that reverse jinx that we always love to talk about here in Bayou City Soccer. But I would love to get your thoughts on that result as well. But we'll move to the second part of this episode, which again will be finishing out contract information and for I think last week we hit goalkeepers and defenders, so we have the midfielders and forwards to talk about today. I do want to give you a quick heads up, and I'm sure you guys seen it on our social medias, but we would love to have you at We Got Soccer on West Chase. That is the location off Westheimer. Tomorrow, Tuesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. We'll start a live stream of this podcast alongside Jonathan Bond and Griffin Dorsey. So make it out there, get some pictures, get some autographs with the guys, and we'll get to ask them questions about the season, about here in Houston. Maybe for Griffin, how his contract is coming up. So, what is he's feeling with that as well. Jonathan, just arrived and he's has a contract for a minute, and it looks like he's enjoying his time here. Both of them are fan favorites, of course. I think if you ask the fans, and actually, Madeline asked fans about which player they wanted to see back uh, next year, and Griffin Dorsey and Jonathan Bond were the ones that I kept hearing. So we know, fans love them. They are guys that put a really good work ethic, put really good games in their for the Houston Dynamo. Um, and so yeah, I mean, come out, get some pictures, get some autographs. We'll be having some giveaways as well. I believe we'll be having one or two jerseys, hopefully autographed by the guys. We'll have some of our own swag, and I think even a Houston Dynamo like Letterman jacket that will be given away. There may be more things, but come out, show your support for the guys. And of course, for us here at Bayou City Soccer, we really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate the fact that Houston Dynamo Football Club gives us the opportunity to host this type of events. And if it wasn't for you guys out there listening to our show, that this would not happen. But again, we would love to see you guys. I know, Jay, you're pretty far away in California, man. I know, but if you could, you would, right? I know you would. If you could, if a time machine or a traveling machine would exist, you'd be here in a minute, man. But yeah, again, we're looking forward to it. It's gonna likely be me and Dustin out there alongside a few guys from Bayou City Soccer. No Christian Putalia, so luckily you guys won't be having to pay $5 a picture for him. But no, no. All jokes aside, we can't wait to see you guys show up and show up for those guys. And We Got Soccer is a fantastic store, and if you're looking for any gear, for Houston Dynamo, and of course, if you follow the EPL, if you follow Liga MX, you follow La Liga, you can get your hands on some new kits or just shirts. Last time I told the guys, I'm like, man, I need to get that shirt. So it may be this time that I'll get that shirt. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'm gonna get a quick sip of water here. You guys are gonna see me chug a Waterloo. But we'll go straight into the crystal ball when it comes to um, the contracts for the midfielders and forwards here shortly. Should drink. I get really thirsty right before I have to record, and I forget to drink right before I record. So, Jay, Houston Dynamo 2, they did win this weekend. It's going to take a big miracle for them to make it into their postseason. They only have one game remaining, and they are playing against Tacoma Defiance, who Tacoma beat them on Wednesday, and now here in Houston, and now they're going to go to Washington to play them. So, chances of them, I mean, they have to win, and then they have to wait another result. So it's going to be very difficult for them to make it. And it's not unfortunate because there's a lot of guys that came into the club that are fighting to get an extension to their contracts with two, or even trying to get into the first team, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to to get one at this point, just because of I mean, individually, I think some of those guys still were standouts, but it's difficult. When it comes to, you see everything else, and frustration starts to pin in, especially for, again, those guys that came in on loans as well. So we wish nothing but the best for them. But going into the contracts, again, we talked about the goalkeepers and defenders last week. This time we're going into midfielders. Arthur is one of the guys that his contract is up. Let me see. Good. Oh, sorry. He's on an option contract. So that means that the club can just decide to keep him for another year. Arthur has been, I mean, he's played pretty much every minute unless he's suspended. He's been pretty healthy this season. Has he had his best season with the Dynamo? No, he definitely struggled after the departure of Coco Carrasquilla and Hector Herrera. But as time went along, I think he kind of got more comfortable. He was definitely getting stretched much more than he was used to in the beginning, playing alongside Jack McGlynn that was trying to find his own role, as well as young Brooklyn Reigns that was also trying to find his footing in MLS. But the captain has played well, and I would not be surprised. I think he has the upside of definitely getting his option being picked up. So it would be very surprising if he's not with Houston in 2026. Not impossible, but it would be a little surprising. Just for he's a captain, he's played decent enough. So those things are in his favor for sure. Next one up is Amin Bassi. If you guys listen to the podcast, you know that I joke around a lot, saying, hashtag, I guess Bassi sucks. But to me, it's just the fact of what Bassi brings to the table. I think he's been asked to be a number 10, to be that creative, even a creative number 8 that can, apart from being a good passer, which we know he is, just being able to do more than that, create and deliver more assists, create and finish his own goals. So it's been a lot that been asked from Bossy, and you saw throughout the season his minutes just started diminishing, and now he's coming off the bench, getting very minimal minutes. He does help the team when he comes in, but for how much he's getting paid, for how much the team is asking from him, and he's not providing. I don't feel, or I feel comfortable saying that we may not see Amin Bassi come back in 2026. Now, his contract is ending this season, so he would have to, the Dynamo would have to give him a new contract, and because he'll likely be asking for more money than he's making, and he's already making a pretty good amount of money, which is something that we saw come out not that long ago. And you know what? Since we're here, might as well look for it, as I think Dustin posted it. Let me see real fast, and now we can talk about it. Should have, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Let me see. I know Dustin. Dustin's our guy. He posts everything. Let me see. Where are you? Just so I can get you some numbers and tell you. Oh, there it is. Radio sounds. Okay, here I got it. Yeah, so if we are looking, and this I may be able to show you guys. Let me see. Bing, 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 bing. Huh. Or not. Club rosters. Yes, right here. If you're able to see this, let me know. But yeah, you should be able to see this. Okay, so you are looking at, when you see the DPs, you have Andre Linger there and Ponce. Both of them have long contracts. Linger's contract is all the way till June 2028, and Ponce is middle of June 2027. So he'll be here for quite a while. Then you have U22s. You have Lawrence Anali, whose contract is sub next year. You have Jack McGlynn, who recently got a new contract extension, and it goes all the way to 2028. And Nelson Quinones' contract is up this season. Arthur, or here's your TAM players: Arthur, Bassi, Antonio Carlos, Sebastian Kovalchik. Just recently acquired Diadi Samaseku. I believe he goes by Chaka. Eric Sviatchenko. Those are your TAM players. Some of those guys, you see Arthur, as we already talked about, and Kovalchik and Basi have their contracts ending this year, but a couple club options. So we'll find out if they get picked up or not. And then Felipe Andrade, he just got an extension to 2027. Exxon Arsu, who's injured. Ethan Barlow, contract is sub in 2025. Jonathan Bond, all the way to 2026. Griffin Dorsey, 2025, winning a club option. Franco Escobar, his contract ends this year. Dwayne Holmes, his contract goes to next year, plus a couple club options. You have Yossi Olusanya, whose contract goes to June 2026, with options for basically 3 years. And Pablo Ortiz currently on loan. That's one we talked about last week on whether his contract gets picked up. I don't think his contract's going to get picked up. There's still a couple games. Obviously, they already picked up the Felipe Andrade contract. So I don't know. I find this still pretty slim. Sergio Santos is a guy that finally showed up on the team sheet, did not play for Dynamo against Portland, but his contract ends at the end of this season. Daniel Steris has a club option for 2026. Andrew Tartbell, his contract ended or ends this season. And the supplemental roster, you have Steven Enor, Femi Awandosu, Eric Duenas, Blake Gillingham, Michael Holiday, Damian Lowe, Jimmy Maurer, Brooklyn Reigns, homegrown. It's crazy, right? Like his contract gets up in 2025. We'll talk about that. Sebastian Rodriguez, Gabe Siegel, Junior Urso, and then another supplemental roster was Kieran Sargent, who's on loan as well. But yeah, those are the values. I know that it's important for people to know how many DPs, how many U22s. Currently, Houston is playing with the 2 DP for U22s. That can definitely change next year. That could definitely go with 3 DPs and 3 U22s. And it's just a matter of, moving around the allocations to change the players' roster information. But going back into Eric Duenas, what's up? Eric Duenas, I mean, young guy. He hasn't really played a ton of minutes with the first team. He's spent more minutes lately with Dynamo too. It took him a bit. I mean, he's not even 21 years old, so this is a guy that could potentially play in many different roles. His contract is up, as I mentioned. Let me see. I think he has I just saw him. Yeah, his contract. He has club options for 2026, 2027, 2028. I'm going to say they bring him back just because of the multiple roles that he can play. And I think you win more than not having him. He's obviously, cap friendly, salary cap friendly. And that's something the team will definitely take a big look at. The next guy is Sebastian Kovalchik. Like Basi, he's a top player making a lot of money. He's definitely seen more minutes than Basi this year. And as of now, right? I mean, even if they come off the bench, usually Kovalchik is the first one to come on the bench and before Basi. But I think like Basi, they're just guys that are very similar. I don't think they bring both of them. I would be very surprised if they bring both of them. But if they have to pick one, I'll probably pick Kovalchik. But I would not be surprised if none of those guys are back next year. Junior Urso is another guy. He's come in. He's played very well when we've seen him. They did sign Chaka recently. And I think it all goes with hand on what Arthur's decision is. But if you're keeping Arthur and you have Chaka, I think Junior Urso may be the guy out. But that's kind of what makes it interesting because I think Urso's a very useful player to have as a depth chart. And then to finish off, the midfielders, Brooklyn Reigns. I mean, Brooklyn Reigns, again, he's played, I think, 18. I think there's 19 games against Portland. So he's played in 19 games. He started on like 80% of those. He's grown as a player. You can definitely see him maturing. He is very talented. He's very good with the ball, without the ball. He's just making better decisions overall. And at 20 years old, you take that, right? A homegrown. He's getting opportunities to represent his country at the World Cup for the U20 World Cup. So um, it'll be easy for them to pull the trigger on that option. And I would not be surprised if they extend him a new contract just for the fact of increasing his value. And, depending how good he does in the World Cup and someone comes calling for him, they can definitely make a little bit of bank on Brooklyn Reigns if he is to go. And his dream is to go play in Europe and doesn't have to be a top league or top team. So if he gets an opportunity, I'm sure he'll be wanting to take it. So we'll see that on the midfielders. And as far as forwards, you have Steven Anor, which I think he's gone. He's been with Dynamo 2 basically the entire time. He has scored goals for Dynamo 2. He is an older player. So I think his value to play with the first team, even though he's a generation Adidas, even though he has a club option for 2026, 2027, I don't think he's breaking in with the set of uh, strikers in the first team. And because of that, I don't see him coming back. All right, this is when it gets a little interesting. Nelson Quinones. Nelson Quinones has been out for almost 2 years. We saw him recently get some minutes with Dynamo 2. He was in the bench for the first team, and then he just disappeared. It looks like, unfortunately for him, he keeps hitting setback after setback after setback. So it's going to be very tough for them to make a decision here on Nelson Quinones. It's unfortunate. We know how good Quinones is from the flash that he's shown. I'm trying to look for his. Let me see. Am I not looking at it? Where are you, Nelson? Where? Oh, there he is. Yeah. So he has an option year, and things would tell you that they'll pick up his option and give him an opportunity. But I think he's gonna be because and likelihood of him coming back, I think it's very high. Because he is one of those players that don't come that often to the club. So we know, if you're playing and you're rewinding and seeing, his time before he got hurt and how he was playing very well, it's going to be very difficult to pass on him. Because for you to get, a player like him, it's not going to be easy. And for the amount that you're paying him, he's still in a pretty, I would say, friendly, contract. I think you keep him, you give him another opportunity, another year, see if he gets healthy. But I mean, again, he hasn't really been himself in 2 years. That's a long time, guys. It's a reality, and us seeing it from the outside, we don't know, how he is really recovering, what type of setbacks he's having, um, what issues they're seeing with him. But it again is very unfortunate for sure. Let me take a quick sip. Say quick. All right. Let's finish this off. So to finish off, there's two guys. There's one guy that hasn't played at all. That's Sergio Santos. Of course, he just arrived to the club. As I mentioned, he made the bench against Portland Timbers, but did not get to play. The issue with Sergio is that he has a really, really high contract. Um, it and unfortunately, I think he's on a club option. Sorry, so that would mean that the Dynamo would have to pay him the same, and I think it's close to $1 million. So it's a big contract. I think he wouldn't be a DP, but he'll definitely be a TAM player. And we haven't seen him. I mean, he arrived about, let me see, I think with like 8 games left in the season, and now there's 3 games in the season, and I don't know if he's gonna ever play. And if he doesn't, unless he comes in and scores a hat trick in the last 3 games, I find it very difficult for them to pull the trigger and keep him a given opportunity. He is a proven talent. I mean, I remember from his Philadelphia days, the guy's fantastic. He was good with Cincinnati. He just didn't click enough. And Cincinnati's in a different step, right? I think they've been one of the top teams for a while in the MLS, but they haven't really shown any trophies and for it. And because of that, he was a man out. And I don't know. I don't know. This one's kind of the likelihood of him coming back in 2026, I think is very, very minimal, which is unfortunate, definitely. And last but not least, Gabe Siegel. I mean, Gabe Siegel doesn't have a club option in 2026. That means that at the end of this year, that's it. They would have to restructure a new contract. And I think the likelihood of him coming back is very minimal. I think they're going to let him hit free agency and see if he can find, any suitor looking for a young American striker, which, you take those definitely. So they may let him, check out what anybody's offering. And if he comes back, it'd be that. It'd be maybe, nobody really picks him up. Nobody gives an opportunity and they're able to restructure a uh, a contract that is friendly for the team. And we know Gabe Siegel has been the man-to-man sub for Ponce, so definitely he's the guy that fits the system. He knows the system. When he's played, he's made the best out of it, scoring goals. I mean, everybody remembers that great game he had against his former team. Man, I'm trying not to cough and like John at the same time. So woof, that's difficult. But yeah, those are the contracts right now that are in question. Again, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a off season of many or much turnover for the club. I think it's necessary. I think it's again make the playoffs or not. I think it was gonna happen and it is gonna happen. Um, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what they do and who they bring in. And I think that's what's most fascinating. The fact that, you're able to move away from short-term loans that you made or, contracts that didn't really take a big hit for the club, especially when they brought in a lot of these guys that are free agents. Um, I think that's what's promising because just because the team was doing bad, they didn't go out there and when they say they did, that'd be Pat and Onstad, Pat and Onstad, Pat and Asher didn't go out there and just start spending money and bringing all kinds of long contracts that I think would basically be detrimental, I think, more than helpful to the squad that you have right now. And because of that, I think it's a win. Whether you make the playoffs or not, I know that fans wanted to see, a big name come through in the summer, wanted to see multiple, big name players come through. And I guess you could call them liars for not doing it because they did mention the fact of that was in the works and it just never happened. But I think they were smart enough to not put all their eggs in one basket and, lose out on the flexibility for 2026 when they're really trying to be smart and bring in the right people to the team. But guys, with that being said, my name is Rudy Segura. Once again, I know you guys seen me multiple times as your host. I want to invite you guys to We Got Soccer on Westheimer, West Chase location off Westheimer. At 6 p.m., we'll be streaming live from there, talking to Griffin Dorsey and Jonathan Bond, fan favorites for the Houston Dynamo fandom. So, man, we would love to see you guys out there and, get autographs, get pictures with them. We really appreciate the support, so we'll see you out there. As well as, don't forget to keep an eye out. If you're a Houston Dash fan, we have the Orange and Blueprints podcast on Wednesday nights by Manny and Diego. They do a fantastic job on Wednesdays. And then Movimiento Naranjas on Thursdays. It's been a little tricky. I know that you guys, if you listen to that podcast, you're like, oh, where's this podcast? Where are you guys not recording? it's been interesting. Either I've been busy or David, who is the main host, has been busy. His family is in town from Argentina visiting him. So we'll give him definitely grace as he enjoys his family that he doesn't get to see that often. And so we'll see. We'll be back on Thursday. I want to say we will be back on Thursday. It'll probably be just me, but maybe get a guest. I do have a couple guests in mind, so maybe on Thursday we'll be back and we'll bring a guest. But this has been the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Thank you once again for listening. Don't forget to follow all of our social media platforms. Follow the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit the little bell. So every time there's a new episode, a new interview pop up, you get that notification. And if you're a podcast listener like myself, don't forget to go in there, whether it be Apple, whether it be Spotify, or wherever you listen, give us a review. 5 stars are welcome, but we love honesty. And if you don't like the show, tell us why. Give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate the opportunity that you guys give us out of your very busy week. And we appreciate you guys' support. Again, this has been the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We'll see you later. Take care.